Welcome back to Girl Crush Country, where we are obsessed with women in country music. And this week's guest comes with a little bit of tahine. Andrea Vasquez, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here.
Same.
And listen, we are not the only ones obsessed, because there was a whole billboard on Broadway with your face on it.
There sure was. I mean, yeah, that was a really, really cool moment. To be on the iconic Nashville sign.
How did that is this the first time you've been on the billboard? On a billboard?
Not a billboard, but the Nashville sign. It was actually back when we released my EP in the fall. That was the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now at this point, you're a billboard model.
Add that to my resume.
Add it to the resume, billboard model. How did that all happen, the one on Broadway?
So I work with Jackie Stevens over at Creators.
Love her.
Who doesn't? She's truly the best. Someone who also advocates for women and just literally everybody. She's incredible. But, I actually have a podcast that I record over at Creators. And, she had a really cool collaboration with the guys over at Public Board. Shout out Eric over there. He's great. And, we had El Camino and my face up there.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you had something to do with the artwork.
I sure did. So I am like a big nerd when it comes to doing branding and, fonts and colors and all of that creative stuff. And I still do a lot of it for myself as an indie artist. And I did my artwork for the EP. And I'm a major overthinker. Anybody who knows me knows this. And it's kind of funny because I sat with that artwork for the longest time. I was like, I love it, I hate it, I love it, I hate it. And then, of course, we picked it. And as soon as I sat on the billboard, I was like, okay.
That works.
Looks pretty good.
I'm like this too. Are you like a overthink everything
Every
person?
single thing possible.
Yeah.
We're trying to talk, get out of that.
Yeah, but it's hard to because it's also your livelihood.
Totally.
Yeah, so I get that.
Yeah.
How long have you been working at this? How long have you been in Nashville and doing the music thing?
So I've been in Nashville for going on 9 years, which is just so crazy. And, time flies.
Yeah.
But it's a really cliche answer, but I've been doing music my whole life, really. And I came from a very musical background, musical family, and very supportive family, too. And so it's just something I knew I wanted to do at a very young age.
Was country music always a thing that you knew you wanted to do?
Funny enough, yes, it was. So we grew up in Northern Virginia for a very short, when I was a kid. And our family's originally from Los Angeles and San Diego. And I have cousins that I'm very close with that we all grew up together. And they're in like an indie rock band or post-punk. I just learned what that term was not long ago, and I just felt so uncool. I have a cousin who's a Latin singer and, cousins that are in lighting and entertainment. So we all just were very into music, and we all love very different things, which is like the funniest part about it too. And I think just being in Virginia for, my childhood, I grew up around country music, and I also just have a very deep appreciation of just like, badass females and country. And I was that really cool generation where I got to watch Taylor Swift and Miranda Lambert and Carrie Underwood become the superstars that they are today. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really special. I remember when Carrie went Idol and when, all of that was happening, and I think from a young age, I was like, I want to be do that. I love to write honest songs about my life and things that people can relate to. And I just think with country music, that's the whole point of it.
For sure. As you know, the reason that Girl Crush Country exists and needs to exist is because of this uphill battle that women face.
All the time.
Especially in country music. I mean, it's everywhere, but especially in country music. And pretty much anybody since Carrie and Miranda and Taylor have had an even harder battle.
Totally.
And that is when it comes to getting played on the radio or included in playlists. What kind of added struggle is there, if there is one, because I don't want to presume that there is, but what kind of added struggle might there be for a Latina in country?
You know, that's a good question. And I actually answered this somewhere earlier this week on a panel. And we were talking about how, you know, when I moved here in 2016, 2017, this was not a topic of conversation going on at all. And I would go to, you know, a lot of us singer-songwriters have done the millions of auditions and, you know, we've had the run around by A&Rs and all the things. And I feel like a really long time ago, it's almost like we obviously knew that it was a different thing because my last name's Vasquez and you're singing country music. So there's obviously this, she's different automatically. That's not a negative thing at all. But then they would be like, okay, cool, play this, play that. Can you throw in like a Shakira cover? And you're just like, that's not the point. I love her. You know, I grew up listening to her, but that is not at all what I'm trying to do. And you know what I mean? It's like they don't really know what to do with you kind of at that point. And, you know, you start hearing like, don't add any Spanish in your songs. Let's do this. Let's do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then it was, you know, several years ago where it's like, have you ever thought of putting Spanish in your songs? And you're like, you literally said this is everything we should not be doing.
In fact, I have thought of it, sir.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And I mean, being a female in the industry too, it's just, you try not to get in this like negative rut. There are such awesome organizations like what you're doing or, you know, the Women in Countries platform. And there's so many amazing, you know, female artists that should be highlighted. And, you know, sometimes no shade to the boys, but I look at these playlists and I'm like, what's the disconnect when I know that this girl over here has incredible vocals and that this person over here has done XYZ? Why aren't they playing her? Like, you know, I did see a really great piece of good news. I think it was yesterday, and don't quote me. I think that this year the leading ACM nominations are all females, which is just like...
Megan Maroney and Lainey Wilson are right up there.
Yeah, and Ella just dropped her album today, and I have no doubt that that's going to just kick... I mean, sorry, I'm just going to kick a lot of the boys' butts this year.
Listen, I say this all the time, we are not anti-men.
No.
We are pro-equity and equality and...
Totally.
Letting women be heard too.
Absolutely.
Because, and this is something else I've talked about a lot, because I came up in radio, as a radio personality, I lost multiple jobs or lost out on multiple jobs because, quote unquote, we already have a woman on the radio station. Like, somewhere along the line, this myth that the country music's target audience, which is women, do not want to hear women. And I don't know a single woman that does not like songs by women. Oh, absolutely. Or, I mean, I just feel like it's like a made-up statistic where they're like, it's like primarily men who listen to this station. And you're like, but it says who? Right. That doesn't make sense. Women are the ones that buy things. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. Yeah. It's, And I don't even know how to trace where that could have started. Sure. But I think that we are now in a place where we can be vocal enough and loud enough and take the music directly to the people with, you know, Spotify and these other platforms that give you access to the fans. So have you found that to be a benefit? Do you pursue radio airplay? There was a time where, you know, I'm not against it or I'm not for or against, you know, one or the other, but, you know, I think anybody who's watching or listening who doesn't know as much, you know, that goes into the music industry, but it's, yes, streaming takes a massive chunk of an artist and songwriter's royalties. We should absolutdy... That's a whole other topic. We could be on this could be hours long topic, but you do have a luxury of just being able to theoretically just upload your music and it's out there, right? And you're able to spend your marketing dollars on marketing the song however you'd like, whether it's content, ads, whatever. But a radio campaign, especially for an indie artist, is just such a crazy amount of money sometimes. And so, yeah, I mean, I've done it back in the day and did the whole radio touring thing. And
I would love to do that again. But yeah, I mean, it's just not as accessible is what a lot of people may not understand.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, a radio tour generally involves a record label that you're paying for, whether you're paying for,
Yeah,
whether
and these
that's
are
coming
free
directly
opportunities too.
Yeah. And so your travel, you've got to pay for your travel and visiting all these radio stations and probably taking at least half of those programmers out for expensive meals.
Totally.
And so all of these costs add up. And the record label might be fronting that cost, but you're paying for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you do have your podcast, Latina in Nashville, where you have on country artists who have Latin Hispanic roots. And there are a lot more than you might think if you were to look at Nashville from the outside.
There absolutely are. And we have a really cool community. A couple years ago, when we co-founded the Country Latin Association, we were just finding that there's country music being played all over Latin America and all over the world. I think in Brazil, there's a country artist down there that has millions and millions on millions of fans and streamers and, just monthly listeners and views. And it's country music, but just in Portuguese. You just wouldn't have thought that. And same with Mexico. There's a lot of great artists down there that are singing country music. It's just in a different language. It's just in Spanish. So our goal was to highlight all of those, whether it was on social media and do events in the community and outreach as well. Just try to connect them with people here in Nashville and just grow our community, which is awesome. And with Latina Nashville, my goal was to has always been to just kind of highlight different artists that I believe in. And it started off primarily as just Latina creatives and such, but I want to definitely open the doors of just anybody who's making a difference in the community. Doesn't matter. If you have a cool story, I want to hear it. We were just talking about Jackie at Creators. She's actually one of the guests on one of the upcoming episodes, and it's because she has this ridiculous resume of things that she's done in her time in radio and beyond that. And Elena Smith, who she worked with for such a very long time, who was a dear friend of hers, she came on and told her story. And, they're not artists, but they're very intertwined in artist stories and just everything in our community making positive changes.
And I feel like the conversation of attracting a Hispanic audience with country music has been out there for years.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been at a radio station, like a terrestrial radio station, in over a decade. And that was a conversation that was starting to bubble up before I got out of terrestrial radio.
Really?
Yeah. So it's just... It feels like a bunch of people stumbling around, not like they know they need to do a thing, but they just don't know how to do the thing. And all they have to do is do the thing.
Like, it's not that hard.
It's like I keep saying, it's just about women. Play the music. That's all you have to do is play the music.
And I mean, I think I've done some digging, and it's like Casey Musgraves, arguably one of the biggest artists, I mean, not just in our genre, not just in our Nashville bubble, but in the world, She has had very little to no airplay.
Almost none. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, I know. Well, and it's all because of Kiss Lots of Boys or Kiss Lots of Girls, if that's what you're into. Suddenly, between that and I think it was the same song or a different song where she advocated smoking weed. And then it was like, oh, God, no, we can't have that in country music. Yeah. Right. It's a whole
It's a whole nother topic. But
banned for life, even though there's no ban.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like, though, with all of that being said, that the country music is evolving at all? Or are they just throwing up new roadblocks?
I think it definitely is. And I think that it is easy to get sucked into all the negativity that we hear and we see all the time, especially in a day where like everything's on social media. You're always like comparing others. And I think that there's also some really great things happening. Just like we said, this year's ACM nominations are led by girls, all females, and they're all incredible. And, we all just want each other to win, truly. And I feel like there's always like a narrative too that like everyone's in competition.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah. And it's just a weird thing that we do as society to goals.
I think it sort of ties into this idea that if women don't want to hear other women, which is what we're constantly told, then that means if there is a woman that we're going to choose to support, whether it's Lainey or Ella or Miranda, we're not going to support all of them.
You can only support one. And
we
then
have
when,
to
like,
be super careful.
Yeah.
And so there's only room for one or two or three.
Yeah.
Which is also a lie. But that's where that whole competitive thing comes in. And then there's that whole stereotype of women catfighting.
That, and it's always like, you know, so-and-so can come out with an album today, but then instead of saying like, oh my gosh, it was so good, you're almost like, oh, it's so much better than hers.
Right.
It's such a thing that people are used to saying today. It's really weird.
Yeah. I saw a video on TikTok the other day, and I wish I could think of who it was that they were. It was like a little girl covering a song. It wasn't Celine Dion, but let's say it was Celine Dion.
Sure.
Because that's a trend right now, is people covering Celine Dion's music. But this little girl is singing. She's singing her heart out. She's amazing. Oh, it was a Mariah Carey song. It was Mariah Carey. And she's maybe 12 or 13 years old, right?
Right.
And she's nailing those high notes. She sounds amazing. And the first comment I see when I look in the comments is a woman saying, she sounds great, but she's not as good as Mariah Carey.
Well, duh, it's a cover. It's her song.
And I was like, I don't respond to the comments more times than not. But this time I was like, and you felt it necessary to comment on a child's performance?
Truly.
As a grown-ass adult.
That's crazy.
The comment has been deleted. I don't know if she did it herself or if it got deleted by someone else, but her comment was deleted.
Wow. But that's the thing. I mean, it's just such a weird, crazy world, especially with social media, that,
yeah,
you know, you could have just been like, oh my gosh, that was so good. Cover this next.
Yeah. Or just, that was so good. That's all people want when they put themselves on social media.
Yeah.
Really. When Jada Cato was here, we talked a little bit about some of the fear that she experiences going to maybe perform in a rural place. And I don't know, is that a thing that you experience as well?
You know, I can't speak to anybody's experience but my own, but I don't. I've always just thought, like, if you don't, you know, like me for who I am, you're not going to be at my show. And so I just feel like I'm like, well, I don't really want to play for you anyway. So that's kind of my you know, if somebody was truly that ignorant, they probably wouldn't want tickets to an Andrea Vasquez show.
True.
You know?
True.
So I'm just kind of like,
but sometimes it's even getting in the venue. Like she said, if she shows up to a venue separate from other people, she'll text somebody and be like, come to the door and get me. Because sometimes the people look at her and go, are you sure you belong here?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a thing that all non-white men experience.
Or just men in general, right?
Yeah, all non-men experience, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been here for such a long time, and I've watched Nashville grow into what it is now, and just, you know, we're so lucky to have more culture and just be such a more diverse city today than we were, especially almost a decade ago. Anybody who's been here long enough knows that was just, it's like a night and day difference right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did some radio touring back in, I don't know, it was at least 8 years ago or so. And it was definitely more rural areas. And I don't know if they were like, it's just, it doesn't have to be them saying something like directly rude to you. It's almost like an attitude, or like it's just a weird vibe you get from them. And yeah, but it didn't turn me off, clearly.
Sometimes just ignorance.
Yeah, I'm like, they truly just don't know better in a way. And you're like,
which is crazy to say in 2020s. Like, I know it's true. I lived in Memphis for 5 minutes, and I had to yell at more than one white man because of some of the stuff that came out of his mouth.
Wow.
And so, like, I know it's still there, obviously, the ignorance, but it's bizarre. In 2026, we have so much access to information.
Oh, truly. I mean, we could go on for days about it, but it's like, you know, some people just don't know what they don't know. And that's a them problem. Not has nothing to do with you. And that's kind of how I look at it now. I'm like, okay, well, cool. You're missing out on a cool new artist that you could have been into or a cool show just because you're in your own little bubble.
Yep. So sorry for you.
Yeah.
I had Reese Palmer on the very first episode.
I love her.
I do too.
She's the best.
She's one of my favorite humans.
Truly.
And we talked about how when she was growing up, she heard herself in Patsy Cline and Trisha Yearwood and the Judds, but she did not see herself in those music videos or performances or whatever. And now there are actually fewer women in general representing the genre than there were when any of us were growing up. So how did you imagine yourself pursuing country music? Or was it just like, I heard this music, I like this music, I want to sing this music?
It was really that, you know, I was a very, I want to say all of us songwriters were probably just like very dramatic. I just remember, you know, I grew up with Shania Twain and the Dixie Chicks and Martina McBride and Faith Hill and all these powerful powerhouse females. And when I was 14, 15 years old when Taylor Swift came out. And
perfect timing.
I mean, girl, I was dumped when, like, the week of my birthday, my 15th birthday, saw her in concert, literally my birthday weekend, watching her sing 15 as a 15-year-old. Please, like, just try to imagine how dramatic that must have been.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. And so just having someone like a Taylor that I grew up with just teaching me how to songwrite and just writing these honest, raw songs. And I feel like from a very young age, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And I just never looked back. Even, you know, and being back in California too, people were like, you do country? And I'm like, yeah. And? Yeah, I mean, I love all genres of music. I love pop music. I love Latin music. I listen to, you know, all of it all the time. I probably listen to more pop music than country when I'm really just like working out or hanging out. Because sometimes you just need to decompress. And
sometimes those pop beats are so much more energetic than a lot of, like, there's some great country. I don't know, my favorite country music is more ballady.
Totally.
And I can't work out to that.
I need to be that. Like at a, you know, level 10. That's what I need.
Like, I need Bruno Mars if I'm going to be working out, and I need
I'm a Bad Bunny girl when I'm working out.
Yes.
Like that is it.
Yeah.
And so, but I've always loved pop music and all of that, but I just, as an artist, I just always knew that country was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be playing with my guitar and playing with my live band and writing songs that just were kind of storytelling.
Well, speaking of Reese Palmer, you were part of her Color Me Country class of 2025, which we love to see women uplifting other women.
She, like I said, Reese is one of those people that just loves to hold the door open for others. And she obviously has a million crazy accomplishments under her belt and her own artist projects, songwriter projects, and I don't know how she juggles it all. She's a powerhouse.
Yeah, she really is. And being a mom.
I know, that too. I'm like, wow.
You're also in the song Suffragettes. And you mentioned you co-founded the Country Latin Association with Angie Kay, who I have to get on this show.
She's amazing.
I love her so much, and I've never gotten to meet her yet.
I'll tell her.
Please do.
I will.
But you are really out here you're not just participating, you're not just doing the thing for yourself, you are actively being one of those people creating space for diversity in country music.
Thank you.
Do you consider yourself a pioneer or a trailblazer?
I feel like when people say that, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about those terms. It just makes me feel like I've been doing this for like 30 years, which I have not.
Yeah.
So I'm like...
But that pioneering, that trailblazing starts somewhere.
Yeah. It is pretty cool to think about, but I don't think about it that way. I'm one of those people that just like literally loves to connect with others and take everybody up with me and make a change. I mean, anyone who knows me is I'm very vocal about what's on my mind, and I don't get threatened when somebody is like, oh, well, if you do that, then da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, well.
Chips fall where they may.
Exactly.
What have you learned from your work in the Country Latin Association that you wish record labels and radio programmers and playlisters understood?
That there's just a need for this, we are all of these artists that, that have been on our radar in the last year or two with the Country Latin Association. Like, they're doing the thing. They're selling out big shows, and even if it's like Monterrey, Mexico. I was talking to a great artist. His name is Dan Rosales. He's down in Monterrey, Mexico. And they truly have like that Zach Top energy. It's just in Spanish. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so just to know that country music is being played in other parts of the world, like when we literally take ourselves out of the United States, it's just so awesome to see. And, we're trying to really just make change in numbers. We're talking about the way that you see only certain people on ballots when it comes to award season, all of that. We really want to be, big picture would be us being a voting bloc and being able to kind of throw together what the labels do before award season and being like, these are who we really believe in for this category, this. Because if we all come together and vote, and it just becomes a numbers game. And at that point, if we had like 40, 50 CMA members, ACM members kind of come under Country Latin Association, what is the difference from like us and an indie label at that point?
Right.
If we have that voting power. So we're trying to just to strategically be able to make a change and kind of just knock on those doors and, for our people and for ourselves and our community. And it's just been really, really exciting to see what, ideas just keep coming about.
And I don't think most fans understand really how an artist ends up on those ballots for the CMAs and the ACMs.
I was trying to explain this to somebody. I'm like, it's kind of like, giving you like a government 101. It's like the electoral college, like a record label has so many votes and this little teeny label just doesn't have the, it's a money thing and a
for sure
numbers thing. And so,
which is why you don't see your favorite independent artist ever on those ballots.
Exactly. But that's why we're like, we have to play the game. We're trying to just play the game with everybody else. And I think that's how we're going to truly make a difference. And we've been so lucky to have great support from our friends over at CMA and other organizations like Origins Music Group and just kind of all these other people that have that same type of vision. And we're all like, we have to just work smarter.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about your music.
Thanks.
You put out your EP El Camino last fall. Am I imagining a whole car theme here, specifically a Chevy?
Yeah,
theme?
And it's funny because I do not drive a Chevy. I drive a Volkswagen Jetta that I hardly know how to do. I don't know how to do anything but put in gas. So not a car girl, but I can appreciate pretty cars. That being said, the first song we wrote off it was Everything I Wish I Did.
Love it. Love it so much.
Thanks. I think they're all my favorite, but then I listen to that one. I'm like, no, I think that one's my favorite right now.
I mean,
I'm in a phase where I think that's
anybody who has an ex, first of all, and an ex who is talking about you and telling absolute horrors. Like my ex-husband, I promise you,
God.
After we've been divorced for 11 years now, I promise you he is still telling people I'm crazy.
She's the issue.
I was the crazy one. I did all kinds of horrible things. That's fine. I put up a website about him. That's a whole other podcast. But
hell yeah.
But yeah, go ahead and tell people that. And then let's talk about what I wish I did.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah. And so there's a line in there that says, like, see her in the front seat of your Chevy El Camino. So that's where that started. Then shortly after, I think we wrote Waste of Gas, another car song, which is just kind of funny. And Moving Target just kind of fit beautifully into that. And Solo fit in there nicely. And obviously we wrote El Camino because I don't even know how that really came about. And then we're like, wait a minute. We mentioned it in another song. And so it all just came together. And then we sat down and wrote The Wind last. And that kind of just told the story and kind of tied it up there. And it was just I love a theme. I love a fun album concept and rollout. And El Camino just, if you listen to it start to finish, it just tells a really beautiful story. And I hope people love that.
I do, personally. And the other thing about Everything I Wish I Did, it gave me this image of Angela Bassett in Waiting to Exhale when she drops the match and walks away. That's what I was thinking of.
Love that.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to like post a little TikTok edit of that. That'd be kind of funny.
That would be really cool. So as women, we're expected to just like take whatever they throw at us, the men, and wallow in the heartbreak and cry about it in the music. So obviously that's not what you're doing with that song. Was there any hesitation to be like, nah, let's get angry?
No, never. I'm like, if you listen to my last project, The Bed You Made, I mean, it's self-explanatory.
The Wind is the newest song from the EP. Kind of stop overthinking and just go thing.
I feel like right now, too, The Wind is so needed in a time where everybody is just constantly consumed by such negativity online and just, it's rough out there. No matter where you are or what you do, it's kind of rough out there. And I think everybody needed something like The Wind that's just like a nice little exhale.
Yeah. How do you feel like you have evolved as an artist and a songwriter since you first started putting out music?
I think about this all the time. I love my old stuff, you know. It was just a different lifetime ago, you know, in a sense. And I think it just comes with age. You just evolve and you're just a little bit more secure about like who you want to be as an artist and a writer, and you just know what you kind of want. And I think that there's like a really cool phase that I'm in right now where that's kind of life at the moment, where I'm like, this is exactly what I want to be doing, and this is how I'm going to do it.
That's so cool. And by the way, you can hear both of those songs that we just talked about on the Girl Crush Country Spotify and Pandora playlists.
Yes.
And when new music comes out, we'll be adding that as well. Is there new music coming anytime soon?
There sure is.
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, so the next single is going to be called Can't Afford a Broken Heart. Very excited about it. And that will be coming out very, very, very early summer. So soon, very soon.
Okay.
And I have a nice little collection of songs that we're recording right now, and I'm very excited and proud of those too.
So a whole album coming?
I think
Another
we may
EP?
piece it together and make it a full album.
Cool.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah. Oh, I'm excited to hear it. I can't wait.
Thank you.
And of course, we'll be paying attention to that. We'll put it in the newsletter. We'll put it on the playlists. We'll have it in all of the things.
Yay.
I always like to wrap up with some flash round questions.
Okay.
So if a theme song played when you walked in the room, what would it be?
Ooh, maybe we could do, just because we were just talking about Taylor, this is just so random. It's going to be Ready for It.
Okay. I like that.
You know?
Yeah. What song is stuck in your head lately?
I am obsessed with the new Ella album that just dropped last night. I was putting together furniture. We just moved, and listening to it I listened to it last night, listened to it in the shower, listened to it on my way here, on my workout. It's so good. I would say it's a song. It just dropped. It's Under Your Boots, Bottom of Your Boots.
Bottom of your, I think that's what
Bottom
it's called.
of Your Boots.
Bottom of Your Boots, yeah.
That has to be it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is so catchy.
It is so catchy. And listen, Choosing Texas has been...
Of course.
Every time she puts out a song, though, because You Look Like You Love Me, Be Her, all of them, she puts it out and it gets in my head and I can't stop. And Choosing Texas, I sing around the house all the time.
Totally.
Just all the time.
Yeah.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
Anything Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before He Cheats is always a good one to get the crowd going.
Listen, sometimes after a couple drinks, you just need to think of something on the spot. That's sometimes what first comes to mind, and everybody knows it.
Yep. Listen, I may or may not have a whole playlist of karaoke potential songs.
Love it.
Just to
You got to be ready.
Yeah. And sometimes I just want to put it on in the living room and sing.
There you go.
That's all.
While you're cleaning, the best.
I keep thinking this is a thing I want to do. The acoustics in my kitchen are so good that I kind of feel like I want to, at some point when I have people come here to the studio, I want to do kitchen karaoke while you're here.
You should.
So think about a song. Maybe we'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
Andrea Vasquez, I am so happy to have you here. You've been so great to talk to.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we've got some of the music, like I said, from the El Camino EP on the Girl Crush Country, Spotify, and Pandora playlists. And so we would love it if you would follow those if you're on either one of those platforms. And listen, if you love what we're doing here, if you want to support the mission of elevating the voices of women in country music, the way to do that is to help us grow the platform. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the social media, and sign up for the newsletter to get music news and releases and the heads up about new interviews right in your inbox by going to girlcrushcountry.com.